Hey, Mission Bible Church volunteers. Hey, we just want to take a minute right now just to say a huge thank you for who you are and everything you do here at Mission. We seriously could not do what we do without you. We could not make church happen if it weren't for you. I mean, we've actually tried to do it ourselves as a staff, and we just cannot figure it out. We've tried time and time again different things, and every single time we struggle and fall flat. I don't think it's even that we can't do it without you. I think it's that as a staff, we actually just can't do it.
Brent, what are you doing up there? You don't know what you're doing. Get the facilities guys, Brent.
I got this one!
I mean, we're here all week long, and we still can't figure out how to be as awesome as you. It actually gets pretty lonely here during the week without you here.
Morning.
We've tried different things to try to fill that void and make it feel during the week a little bit more like it does on a Saturday or Sunday. It just something doesn't feel right.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
But hey, seriously, we actually want to take some time to brag on you. We could not be more proud of the volunteers and the serve teams that we get the honor and the serious blessing to work with week in and week out.
This church wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the many, many volunteers that every week and literally every day are involved in some shape or form. Have you seen the guys out in the pretty yellow vests? Well, if you haven't lately, you've missed some great parking people out there. And I think one of the funnest things I've seen over the last several months is some of our high school boys, literally football players, that have gotten out there and have been doing all the different moves, showing you where to park, and literally people are getting out of their cars cracking up. That is awesome. And nobody told them, go do this, go do that. They just did it. And I am so grateful that we can have fun serving.
Back in the fall, when we had our kickoff event for the students, we were going to use the fire pit that's right outside our campus. And it had not been touched over the course of probably many months, so there was a lot of branches and grass that had grown into the fire pit. And just to show you the dedication of our team, I sent something out to my leaders saying, hey, does anyone have a weed whacker? Or could someone just show up like 5 minutes early to just kind of clear some of this stuff out so we can have a fire for the students and just kind of give those campfire vibes, right? And I send it out, I send a little picture, and like 5 of the guys from the team show up 30 minutes early. Someone brings a weed whacker, someone brings other tools and bags, and they like re-landscape the whole entire fire pit so that we could use it for the students. And they just like went above and beyond to the simple thing of like, hey, can we get the fire pit ready for some kids? And they just show up and they're all like working together and clearing it out, and it looked like it had been like professionally done. And that's like one small detail of like, a high schooler's never gonna know that the leaders did that, and they just go above and beyond every time when it comes to making the space for the students a place that's welcoming and just making it even better than what I could imagine as a leader of the team. So just an amazing thing that they've done in the ministry.
My name is Benji Sartorius, and I run this place. Mission volunteers, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, just how awesome you guys are, and that without you guys, this church would just not be who we are today. I do want to give a special shout out to the production team. You guys rock. We have almost 60 volunteers on our team that serve each and every weekend across multiple campuses. And you guys make it happen. You are like the secret sauce at Mission Bible Church. One thing that just really stands out to me is a lot of our volunteers on the production team, they serve in lots of different ministries. They serve on the production and the worship team. They serve in production and the First Impressions team, or they help with kids ministry. That just really is awesome that you guys find a need, you step up, and you guys do it. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
So I have a wonderful opportunity to work with numerous volunteers here at Mission. When I think about the re-engaged facilitators or the small group leaders, or I think about the communion team, or of course our worship team, I just have an opportunity to interact with people from all kinds of backgrounds and ages, and it is just my joy. Here's what I find to be true as I think about all the teams that I have an opportunity to interface with. Every team member that I'm around, I see joy, I see a commitment, to Christ, to his kingdom, to God's people. I see people who are just willing to sacrifice time, energy, and just make room in their lives to serve. And obviously no one's getting paid, but they are so committed to Christ and so committed to being real with God, real with each other, real in the world, that they see their calling fitting within that mission statement. And so it's amazing to me the amount of time and effort that they put in to help this church work and run. And so I am ever grateful for each and every one. You guys are stars and help this church just rise above, in my opinion, all the others. Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Marco Miramontes, and I do nothing around here.
I would like to take a little bit of time to thank the two different groups of volunteers that we use at Evergreen. In our ministry, we see about 100 to 125 individual unique students within a month. That it would be impossible for me and my wife to accomplish performing the ministry that we do. So we obviously rely on our volunteers, and we use two different groups of volunteers. We have adult leaders and we have high school leaders. I'd like to start with our high school leaders. We're so thankful that we get to partner with our high school students. We're so thankful that Chris has that passion to pass students on to us, and the students want to come back to Evergreen and contribute to the experience that they enjoyed so much. It so often feels like I'm not really doing anything. It's these students, it's these high school students, it's our young students who are creating this culture, and when they come back, that's amplifying that culture even more. And then when that is being seen by our adult leaders, when we've got grown adults, men and women in their late into their adult years, early into their adult years, whatever, they see their students, their high school students, their former students coming back, interacting, pouring into their students again. It's just seeing that cycle of how God is working in students and continuing to shepherd students. It impacts our adults in a lot of ways, and it gives them the passion to continue to serve. And without those adult leaders, sure, they provide a lot of structure for us and a lot of safety, but they also provide a fun space. And many times it's our adult leaders who we're having to be like, hey, kind of, don't be so rambunctious. You know what I mean? Calm down a little bit. Let's get back in and focus. So I'm particularly so thankful for the team that I get to work with. So thankful for the people who show up and love on our students and have the same passion and are willing to work with me, as difficult as I can be to work with sometimes. So thank you for what you guys do. I appreciate you so much. I love you. You know that. So thanks.
Mission Kids Morris has about 30 volunteers and also some super awesome subs. So that was just something that was super cool. As I started this job just a few months ago at the beginning of the year, I was super nervous. I hadn't been going to Mission Morris super long. I was coming into a new church and stepping into leading this new ministry. But something that really helped was that I knew I had this super awesome team of amazing volunteers there to support me. And immediately from the first week I was there, they were all super helpful and welcoming. And they are just all so dedicated to what they're doing. Every week we have kids volunteers putting on donkey costumes and just doing whatever they can to help these kids get closer to Jesus. They're there for the kids, which is super important, but more importantly, they're there because of their love for him, and that's just super evident. And I just love that I get to work with this team of people who just loves him so much, and they are so passionate about showing that to all of these kids.
To all of the most incredible ministry volunteers on the planet, and I'm referring to all of the children's ministry volunteers. Our preschool director, Abby Kohler, and I value your generous spirit, your selfless effort that you bring to Mission Kids every week, whether it's during the week or on the weekend at Mission. Thank you for partnering with us to bring our mission of helping preschool and elementary students become real with God, real with each other, and real in the world to life in practical ways. The impact that a children's ministry volunteer makes, oftentimes you cannot see or hear, but the times you can, I love it. When the kids show up to an event, small group, or even Sunday morning gathering, and specifically ask for, by name, a certain volunteer if they're going to be there that day. Wow, that's a huge impact that children's ministry volunteers make weekly.
This past winter at one of our Mission Women's Christmas party events, we were doing gingerbread decorating house competitions, and we had about 10 houses for all of the women that showed up. And we had one lady who signed up and registered, and she came with her little daughter. And her daughter was definitely too young to be there, but she just heard gingerbread house, and she thought everyone was going to get their own gingerbread house, and she wanted that opportunity to do that with her daughter. She stayed for a little bit, but then ended up having to leave because her daughter was too young and she just wasn't hanging on. So they left, and then after the event, I found out that some of the volunteers on the Mission Women team followed up with her and found out that she didn't have the best living situation right now, was staying at a hotel, and didn't have a lot of money for Christmas, and she just wanted to make a gingerbread house with her daughter. So some of those ladies went out and they bought her a gingerbread house. They got in contact with her, they got her some diapers, and even some money, and they brought it to her so she could do that for her daughter. And her daughter got to make a gingerbread house that season because of women on our Mission Women's team who went above and beyond to go out of their way and take those next steps to foster that connection with her and just create that magic that season.
I want to say a special thanks to our setup team. I mean, at the Morris campus, nothing happens without the setup team coming early first. Especially in these winter months, they come out early. It's still dark outside. It's super cold. The stuff we're touching is cold. Especially on January 14th, we had negative 20 below wind chills. We had a trailer that wouldn't even work. We were figuring it out as we went. And our setup team still shows up on time and works twice as hard for half as many people to come to church, and I'm just so thankful for their dedication. Specifically, as I think about the Morris campus, there's some groups of people who are just kind of like above and beyond. Like, we didn't ask them to do this. So I think about there's a handful of people that kind of take turns vacuuming the carpets of the schools, the rugs. We literally leave the school cleaner than we found it. Well, we've got guys that'll bring their own leaf blower and clean the area outside that people will walk through. And it's like, I didn't think to ask somebody to do that. I didn't even ask. They just figured that out on their own. Thank you guys for going above and beyond. We've got people that drive their own heavy duty trucks so that they can move our trailers. And we don't own those trucks. And we literally couldn't not only do it without you, but without your trucks. So thank you for giving us your time and your stuff to help make the church happen. We've got volunteers who volunteer to bring donuts for the other volunteers. It's amazing. And like they'll figure it out amongst themselves with texts and stuff, which is just so cool. So like when you come to Morris and you're serving, and usually there's donuts for the volunteers, that happened because of yourselves, organizing it. It's just so many little things that are above and beyond that I'm just really, really grateful for.
One of the things that's been part of Mission's DNA forever, and I mean, certainly I've observed it when I came here 26 years ago, and it's been true ever since, has been just this ongoing identification that part of being a part of a church is stepping into some type of service activity. The people at this church seemingly instinctively know that that's what they're supposed to do, and that's what they want to do. And the cool thing about that is that you see some of the best relationships get kickstarted, not primarily by sitting next to each other during a worship service, and sometimes not even in sitting in each other's living rooms during a small group, but it's in serving folks within this church in different ministries that they're a part of. It's awesome to see the quantum leap that happens relationally with God's people when they're doing God's work. One of my favorite things when I think about volunteers at this church actually has been like 15 years and rolling. There's a family that was all about observing and taking care of our baptism Sundays. And so they were there when we were in the venue, when the whole church was in the venue and the baptism was right in front of you and the person read their testimony right in front of you. And so they had to make sure that they were getting in and out safely. They were mopping the floors downstairs because you got out of the baptismal, went downstairs and walked across tile at the time and didn't slip because this family was there with their kids mopping the whole thing. And they just continued over and over. The first Sunday that they were serving, like 15 years back, there was a particular person who was really nervous about getting into the baptismal. They were wheelchair bound, and that was just something that they were really insecure about. And this was their very first Sunday to serve in this capacity. So they're like, what do I got to lose? What are they going to do? Fire me? And so the wife filled the entire baptismal with rubber duckies, so that when he came into the baptismal, all of the nerves and all the fear and all the insecurities were gone because of all these rubber duckies. So we baptized him in a sea of rubber duckies. That was awesome. And that person and that family just continued on serving month after month, year after year in baptisms. And the cool thing is that they came to the point this year where they realized it was time to pass the baton. After all that time of seeing how we do baptisms evolve at the church, all those hundreds of people who've been baptized, that they had a chance to sit front row seat to, and then they had a chance to train the next generation. And so the people that we have baptizing or being a part of that guru relationship where they're making sure that baptisms are happening smoothly and people are getting in and out well and getting set up well. We have the next generation of people that they're really pastoring these individuals when they're having one of the most important spiritual moments of their entire life. And not only that, but this went from just one family to this new set of volunteers that's now 2 sets of volunteers, people that are setting up and tearing down baptism. And so you've got like older, wiser believers, and you've got the next generation of younger believers that are working together, making that happen. And when I look at that, that's just like a picture of that's what happens at this church as far as church work. It would not happen. Church work does not happen with paid staff. Paid staff, that we can run programs, we can preach, we can lead music, but church work happens with the church. The church, you are the ones that are involved. Your volunteering is not just you showing up and seeing a need and meeting it. It's you stepping into a need that you're bringing your skill set and your availability that's unique. It's like a fingerprint that God put on you that you get to share with our whole church. And so for 26 years, I've had a chance to see what you've done when you've taken that step. And we just want to thank you so much. I couldn't possibly thank you enough. I'm so proud of this church because of its attitude about serving and the way I've seen it not only cause great impact through you, but in you as well. And that's something that I'm just so grateful for. I just want to personally thank each and every one of you for all that you do. I know that there's very few people who know how much you invest into the ministry, what you're saying no to say yes to volunteering, to serving the way that you have. But I just want to thank you because I'm one of the people that gets a chance to have 2 or 3 steps removed from what you're doing to see the impact. And it's making an impact. And I want to thank you so much for that.